Welcome back to NYSE TV Live, everyone. I'm Kristen Scholler here in studio. As emerging technologies and the advancements of artificial intelligence drive companies to make the next big splash, what impact is it having across startups? Well, joining me now to answer this question is Jeff Ransdell. He's a managing director and founding partner at Fuel Venture Capital. Jeff, it's great to have you on the show today. We were just talking about artificial intelligence in our last segment. We saw how it fueled early stock market gains in 2024. What will AI bring us this year from a VC perspective?
Good morning, Kristen, and Happy New Year to you. I think Peter did a legendary job of actually framing it all up, as he usually does. But yeah, AI has been playing a massive part of the creative economy in 2024. It represented the majority of all the funding really for the private markets last year. We anticipate that that's going to continue to drive forward in 2025 in a very big way. You've got major. I think how we look at it at Fuel Venture Capital is almost like the gold rush, right? You had the people who were selling the picks and the shovels, and you had the people that were literally panning for the gold. And I think for the most part, you have big companies like NVIDIA that are enabling technologies and supplying fundamental models that are being built out. You have OpenAI. You have cloud providers such as Amazon, Microsoft, Google. They're really driving the majority of the play in AI. Where we are focused in the Fuel Venture Capital is really downstream a little bit, more of the early stage stuff, AI applications that end consumers and companies around the world will be using on a daily basis.
And what are some of those innovations, even companies, Jeff, that look most attractive to you as we start 2025?
Well, I think from an IPO perspective, and I think that that's really one of the big things that are going to be driving the private markets in 2025. Liquidity has been a big issue for the last 3 years. I think that liquidity will be coming back into play. As Peter said, 2025 is looking to be a really strong year. And with that, we'll see liquidity. We'll have more capital coming back into the private markets. I think for me, one of the biggest IPOs that we're expecting to hit from the private sector this year is CoreWeave. I'm really excited about that. We look at that as being about an 87% probability to IPO this year, which is a huge infrastructure for AI developers. As I was saying earlier, this whole picks and shovel theory. This is an organization that's providing AR developers the ability to create the technology that they're creating. Last post valuation in the private markets is $23 billion. And again, we're expecting it to go live this year on your exchange.
How does the interest rate forecast for this year of 2025, Jeff, impact your business, the way that you do business as a venture capitalist?
Well, as we were just talking about, right, the liquidity for the last 3 years has really created a struggle for the private markets. As we all know, we saw interest rates hit ceilings that we haven't seen in a very, very long time. But the Fed started the path forward back in September of last year, and assuming inflation remains low, we anticipate that rate cuts should keep pace, and the markets will react accordingly. I think, as Peter was saying, 2024 was such an amazing year for all of us in the public markets. And what typically happens is the public markets lead the way, and it eventually ripples down into the private sector. And so we at Fuel Venture Capital are expecting 2025 to be a great year with respect to interest rates continuing to come down as inflation is steady. And that interest rate lowering will help create a tremendous amount of liquidity that I was just talking about before. The IPO markets have really been shut down for the last 3 years. M&A has been very struggling, and we think that lower interest rates, lower borrowing costs are going to help drive that liquidity issue and open up the markets in 2025.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining. Of course, good to get the take on VC as we start 2025 together. That's Jeff Ransdell. He's a managing director and founding partner at Fuel Venture Capital.
Thanks for having us.